Hey there, I'm Lucy Colonen, and I want to welcome you to the Chosen Voices podcast. It's the show where women make waves using their voices. Women like you and like me. We're moms, leaders, students, entrepreneurs, and even those of us that are wearing several different hats. So stick around and learn what it really means to use your voice to make waves in this world. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, ladies, for tuning in. This is episode number 5. I'm Lucy Colonen. I'm the director of Chosen Women's Ministry here at Crossover Church. I also am a life coach. I author, blog, and now I am your host for this podcast today, Chosen Voices. So again, thank you for tuning in. And do me a favor, please help us out. Make sure that you're not only liking, this episode here. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel, Chosen 813. Make sure that you're following us on social media at Chosen 813. We are on Facebook and we are on Instagram as well. And I get people asking me all the time, what's next? What's happening next with Chosen? And so I always let people know we post everything on social media so that you will know what's happening and what is taking place. And so we are excited for today. We're excited for this episode. It's going to be so good. I have a guest here. Before I introduce her, though, a couple of things I just want to say real quick is that when we put this together, when we put our podcast together, there's a lot of prayer that goes into it. There's a lot of thought that goes into it and intention. And this podcast is for you. It's created by women for women. And let me ask you a question. How many of you guys know, that God does not waste a tear? God does not waste our lives. God does not waste our challenges, There's purpose behind everything. And I'm excited because you're going to get to hear today about that journey, about the journey of just having passion in life. But the neat thing is that oftentimes, we're always looking for the highlights. We're looking for the highlight reels, The things that look cute, the things that look fancy and fun. We'll like it, we'll love it, we'll share it. But what about the journey that it took to get to that highlight? And that's what we want to hone in on today. Oftentimes, we're just looking for these highlights. And let me tell you, the journey, there's growth that takes place in the journey. There's stretching that takes place. And so we got to make sure that we're creating that space and embracing our journeys. My journey is going to be different than your journey, but we're in this together. So make sure that you're liking, make sure that you are sharing this. And so I have the privilege and the honor to introduce a friend of mine who's here with us today, Natalie West Southward.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Yes. You know what? And I want to share this real quick, too. So you mentioned this when we got here earlier, that it's been, you said 10, 11 years. Is that correct? Yeah. So I didn't realize it was that long. But I want to let you know, because I'm about to read your bio here, that even before all that, I was your fan. I'm still your fan. I'm still your fan. But yes, I think knowing you, and as I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years and understanding more of your journey, there's an appreciation for what you're doing. And I just want to make sure that that's what we kind of talk about today as well, because I know that you do a lot, and y'all, she's making waves. She is making waves. And so I've been one of your fans, but I want them to become your fan as well. And so I want to share just a little bit of what she does. So Natalie is a founder and director of Life Transformation Counseling, and you've been doing that for how long?
18 years. I've been in the field 18 years.
18 years, right? So we got a lot of experience there, right? I love it. She's a licensed mental health counselor. She holds a master's degree in mental health counseling from Nova Southeastern University, a bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in sociology and religion from Southeastern University. Is that SCU?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And so you just shared you have 18 years of experience in the mental health field. And then I love this. Natalie has a passion for others, and she believes that she's called to be an agent of change in the lives of those that she serves. And listen, when you go to her website, you're also going to see just a list, of all your certifications, a list of your trainings. So I know that you come with a wealth of information, but I know that there was a price to pay.
That's right.
I know that there was a lot of sacrifice. I know that there was tears behind all that. I love the work that you're doing today. Anytime that anyone is able to merge theology and psychology together, I get excited, about that. And I love that. And I know that's part of what you do. But just real quick, just, share with them just a little bit about who you are. Who is Natalie?
Okay. I am a lover. I love people. I have a passion for walking alongside others. I love doing life on the real. I'm not a surface type person. The deeper, the better, right? And so I just love having open, honest conversations. I am a wifey. I love my husband. Been together 15 years, married 12. I'm a mom. I've been a mom a greater part of my life. I have a 25-year-old daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. I'm a Christ follower. Like, I will rock Jesus all day long. He has saved me, spared me, and has used it all. So that's just part of who I am.
Right.
And unapologetically who I am.
Love that. Unapologetically. So listen, this is sometimes I do this, not often, but I haven't done this in a while, right? You're going to be in the hot seat right now. And I love to ask the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So there's no right or wrong, right?
Okay.
No right or wrong, but you can only answer one word.
One word.
One word. That's it. And this gives our audience an opportunity to get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
And when I say get to know you, is to know you.
Right.
And Natalie, the essence of who you are, your character, your personality, and all that. So, Natalie, what's your favorite drink?
Water.
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 Okay, I'm surprised. Not like tea or coffee.
I hate tea. Fun fact, I've never tried coffee ever in my life. But yeah, water. Water is my favorite drink.
Okay. Now, is it like water with lemon or just
water.
Just plain water?
Plain water with
No
a lot
flavor,
of ice.
With a lot of ice.
A lot of ice.
Okay. That's something new there. All right. So when are you most productive?
At night.
You're okay. Night
I'm
owl?
a night owl.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is that when like all the
Yes.
creative juices start?
I can stay up 12, 1 in the morning, just ideas at the desk, at the home office, just knocking stuff out,
I wish I could do that. I wish. Not me. All right. Summer or winter?
Summer?
Summer?
Summer, yeah. We're outdoors, so
Yeah.
I love being outdoors, so summer, yeah.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
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 All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Yeah? No
Yeah.
cats?
I'm allergic to cats.
Okay. Yeah.
Dogs.
All right. Do you have a favorite kind of breed? Or just
Pits.
Yeah?
I think pitties are just so cute, and they're just good dogs, so yeah. They're solid.
all right. Do you have a favorite color?
Fuchsia.
Yes. Yes. Right here, right here.
I like it.
All right. Favorite book of the Bible?
Proverbs.
Proverbs?
Yeah.
The book of wisdom.
Yeah. Proverbs for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Favorite TV show?
I don't really watch a lot of TV. I don't really have a favorite TV show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
I've just started watching The Chosen.
Yes.
So that is my favorite. I actually watch it in the gym when I'm doing cardio. So
You're
Chosen.
not crying while you're doing?
Yes. and I raise my hand and I'm like, yes, Lord. And I'm doing the stairs. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's the Chosen series. It's the best series when it comes to the life of Jesus. Like, love it. Can't wait for season 3 to start. All right, and last one here. 5 words to describe yourself.
Energetic, intense, lover, playful, non-judgmental, non-judgmental. So it's one word.
I like that. And we can see it. We can see it in you. So awesome. Thank you for that. So what I wanted to do today too is this is a little bit different from, all my other guests. And I try some of my creative juices more in the morning. Maybe I should try the nighttime. But, as I shared earlier, that most of the time people are wanting to see our highlights, right? Our high moments in life. But I also know, and I also believe that when I was saying that God doesn't waste our challenges, our struggles, and our tears, that there are things from our past that has fueled our passions for today. And so I kind of wanted to start from the beginning, the genesis of, Natalie.
Okay.
And so share with us, what was your childhood like? What was that like?
So I grew up in a small town in Indiana, Leo, Indiana. Everybody knew everyone. My grandparents were there, great-grandparents. We all lived down the same lane. My husband calls it a compound, but we just were so close. My grandparents lived on the river. Grew up in the church, just really close-knit family, active. I had a brother that was 18 months older than me, and my sister is 5 years older than me, so I'm the baby of the family. And my parents were married growing up, and I felt like life was so good. I always thought, I remember driving in the car often, I'd be like, my life is so good. Like, I'm so lucky to have the family that I have and the grandparents that I have and the cousins and aunt and uncle, and I really loved my life as a child. And then when I was 9 to 10 years old, I was sexually molested by a family friend that was 3 times my age, by a man, and my world just came crumbling. But I stuffed it, right? And so just kept moving forward, and it changed literally, I would say, because it's a trauma. So obviously as a child, I didn't know the words, but it changed how I felt about me. And I feel like the enemy really used that to really put in these negative thoughts, in this junk language. But yeah, so I mean, I played sports my whole life. Since I was 5, I've been playing all sports, and so those were my hobbies. Played sports with my brother on the same team. Parents coached and supported us. So, but yeah, Leo, Indiana, loved my childhood, and just family was everything. And we grew up in the church, so I always had a relationship with God.
So it sounds like it was a solid upbringing.
For sure.
Minus the trauma, that you had experienced. Would you say that you have at least one, favorite childhood memory?
Oh, for sure. As I mentioned, my grandparents lived on the water, and we lived in the front of the property, and my grandpa had a boat, and so they would pop popcorn. We'd have a pop. It wasn't a soda. We had pop. Okay. And we would just go on the boat. We'd go on the boat just together as a family and just ride around at night, and it was just a sweet time.
How did you pop popcorn on the...
Oh, no. So we had popcorn already popped. Oh, okay. But then soda in Indiana, it's called pop.
Okay.
I didn't know what soda was until I moved to Florida. I'm like, what is soda? But yeah, we just would ride around, and they were just sweet times. Just being on the river, being together with my grandparents and my family. My grandparents were really solid. So yeah, that's a really sweet memory.
So I'm sure that your grandparents shared some type of piece of advice with you. What do you remember them sharing with you as a child that's stuck with you today?
Oh, always keep God first. Every birthday card, they would give us an envelope with money, and it'd always say, keep God first. God first, God first, God first. And God was first in their marriage, and God was first in their life, and it showed. It really showed. So
they were role models for you in that area.
Definitely.
All right. So as a child, so you were very active because you said you were into sports as well. Did that seep into your teenage years also? Oh yeah, for sure. Sports, became my outlet. It was my outlet in life. When I would step on a basketball court, everything outside in my outside life ceased to exist. Drama, trauma, pain, hurt. And when I stepped on the court, it was like just me and the ball and my teammates. And it was just, I loved it. It was my passion. I let out my aggression. My teammates would agree, not always in the best way. Yeah. But yeah, so it carried over into my teenage years for sure, because my teenage years were really rough. Okay. Really rough. How did you get into even basketball to begin with? I'm just curious. Was your brother playing with the basketball? Was it neighbors? How did that interest and passion start? So I'm from Indiana, so it's the Hoosier State. So if you weren't playing basketball,
you really didn't have tons to do, I think. So my brother played basketball. My sister played before she got injured. And we would just go out on the court in our house. We had a basketball court. And we would shoot around. And it was a way for me to really connect with my dad, to connect with my brother. And I've always been solid. I've always been like of an athletic build. And so I learned that my body could be used with strength rather than rejecting my size, using it as a strength to be solid on the court. And I feel like God used it, to be honest, to save my life, to keep me focused on something outside of what was going on around me.
So you mentioned that your teen years were rough.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was happening around?
So we moved when I was 7th grade summer. I moved to Florida. So I was going into my 8th grade year, and I came from a small town, okay? So keep in mind, we might have had 2 African-American children in our school from K through senior year. And my mom babysat them, we moved here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like just so culturally diverse. And, I was very naive, I was in awe, and it was just a different culture here for sure. And so we moved during the summer. Nobody was outside. It was my brother and I just riding bikes, and I didn't know anybody. I just felt like ripped away from my family and the support. And my sister graduated and went to college, so our family dynamic was different.
Everything was changing.
Yeah, and she was such a leader in our family, and I just feel like it was really hard. And then I started 8th grade year, and I just remember being in shock, like culture shock.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. And I played volleyball, so volleyball tryouts for that week, and played basketball. So that was my way of getting in and meeting people and creating an atmosphere of community. But I feared rejection. And so from that, I created a lot of the trauma was created in my childhood years. I did nothing to welcome that or create that, but I participated and created trauma in my teenage years. So
I love the choice of words, because you're taking ownership.
Oh, for sure.
Taking ownership. So I remember as a teen, like one of the regrets that I have is not following through with, I guess, like after school activities. And so my mom had given us the option like to take up piano. At the time it was, piano. I took guitar in high school for one semester. I liked it, but it wasn't like, I was like, I didn't want to do this. I did want to play the piano, but my desire was to have fun. And my desire was to hang out with, the neighborhood friends. And that became my priority. So I think I did only 2 or 3, piano lessons, and I quit. And that's one regret that, I have, and that's why I'm always like pushing my girls, like, don't be afraid to try, new things, because not that it's not too late, right?
Yeah,
never too late. You can learn now. But the truth is, I know that I can't sing, and playing the piano is going to be too much. So I'm just like, what? That's not me. God's called me a different way. But that's a regret that I know that I have as a teenager. There was definitely insecurity and more of wanting to feel accepted and wanting to be a part of, the crowd. What would be one regret that you say you would have?
I would say when I moved to Florida, I moved away from God. I was really angry at God. And so one of my biggest regrets is moving away from him, right? Like selling out to my biblical foundation, selling out to God's word, selling out to who I knew he called me to be, who he said I was, and turning to boys, turning to just having fun and pushing the limits. And, I would say that's one of my biggest regrets, because I just know, like, I created a lot of hardship in my life, but I also know that God used it. So there's certain things I wouldn't take away that if you took it away, I believe it would ultimately take who I've been created to be away. So, but yeah, that would definitely be one, not to move away from God in the midst of anger or pain or trauma or hardship, but to move towards him,
So I'm curious too, Because I know that when one person suffers, everyone else suffers. So did this affect the rest of your family, your choices?
For sure. So I say hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
So in my hurt, in my struggle, like, I'm going to be honest, like, I have a sharp tongue. I was really reckless with my words, my attitude. I'm pretty intense. Like, those that know me, I'm an intense person. I'm outgoing. I'm a people person, but
you're a lover too.
Oh, but I'm a lover, but I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
Okay, I was a fighter too. And so my choices impacted my entire family. My choices impacted my 25-year-old daughter, right? Because when I was 14, I got pregnant. I had Lacey when I was 15. And so she's now 25. But that choice changed, I would say, the dynamic of my home, of my family. And I believe that it has impacted relationships today, some in a positive way and some in a negative way, based off of how I was treated from my parents, or what I received, or the support I received with Lacey versus maybe some of my other siblings. And, you know, I feel like it created a divide at times in our own ignorance, maybe. But yeah, I would say my choices have definitely impacted,
right?
But also in a positive way, right? Because those choices now have impacted clients and people that I work with in a beautiful way, right? But it wasn't always that. I mean, it was hard. I mean, being 14 and pregnant, and then having a baby at 15, like, my mindset was, I'm gonna be the best parent. Like, this is gonna make me and not break me. But my mindset was on not becoming a statistic. Okay. So I got so used to doing versus being that it took my young adult life and my adult life to learn who I was and what it meant to be Natalie versus do. You know?
I love that. Yeah. I love that. And that's what this is about. That's what this is about. We focus so much on what people are doing and titles, what they've accomplished. And the reality is, like, look at people's heart, get to know them. Because I'm pretty sure that, like, I didn't know everything that, you know, you're sharing now. And we've known each other for, you know, for years now. But I'm saying that we look at each other and we can say, like, oh, she's so polished, she's so put together. And, oh, she does this and she does that. And not realizing, like, you don't know what I went through. Right. You don't know what sacrifices had to be made, the challenges, all that, to be who I am today. Not what I'm doing, but who I am comes first before what I'm doing. Oh, and what I'm doing stems from who I am as a child of God, right? As a daughter of God. And so that's what this podcast is about, is I want to make sure that the audience are people that are watching, whether it's live right now or on replay, that you take the time out to really get to know someone. And I say, like, that's a challenge for you this week. Take some time out and really get to know someone's story. Ask them questions. Ask them, how was your childhood? Ask them, what's a couple of regrets that you have? But at the same time, what are some victories? What are some joys that you've been able to experience? And how has that shaped your life today? Right? Because everyone has a story. Everyone has a story to tell and share as well. And so this is about making waves. And the reason why we're able to make waves is because of the transformation that has taken place. And that's exactly what you've, you know, shared. You've been through a lot in your childhood. And even though you can say, like, oh, you know, I had a good support system. My family was there. They taught us to put God first, which is important and necessary. But at the same time, as you shared, your teen years, that became difficult. There was a transition that took place there that, you know, became a challenge. And those years are so important. They're formative years, right, to who we, you know, become today. And so I want to get into now, like, the Natalie of today, right? The Natalie of today, the decisions that you're making today, even some of maybe even your patterns in life and routines, I know have been because of what you've been through, your journey, your personal story, your different transitions in life, your disappointments, your frustrations, and even the trauma that you've experienced, right, have all shaped you. And, you know, you've become this person today. And so I want to focus on the Natalie that you are, today, and the things that you do because of who you are and the love that you have. You said you're a lover of Jesus and a lover of people, and we've all been called to not only love God, but love other people as well. And I love how you're using your skills, your talents to love others. And it's a very unique way. But today, I know that earlier I had you describe, 5 words to describe you today. But compared to how you were today, like, what does Natalie do today? Like, what's more of your picture today that's so different from you as, a child and teenager?
So I would say I'm resilient, right? So hear me say this, you're resilient just like I'm resilient. So we're more alike than we are different. I say this all the time. When you take time to get to know somebody's story, you realize how much more you have in common, right? There's so much that I believe the enemy spoke to me about being different. Oh, you're different, you're different. And it was a negative. Like, nobody can relate to you. Like, when you see somebody look at you wrong or whisper, for some reason, I thought it was about me, right? I just talked to one of my best friends on the phone today about this, how we always flipped it to the negative, and still sometimes can, right? Out of fear of judgment. And so I would say I'm resilient. I don't quit, right? That's that resiliency. And I'm going to allow God to use it all for his glory, right? Like, I just want him to be my mouthpiece. And so before, those that have known me a long time, it used to be all about me. Like, what can I do? Let me get the shine. Let me get the accolades. Let me get, you mentioned the resume, right? The resume was my identity because I was so fearful of being a statistic that I felt like I had to prove yourself to the world, but really I had to prove it to myself. At first, I thought I was proving it to other people, like, oh, she's a great mom. Oh, she graduated high school. Oh, she's playing basketball in college. Like, oh, she's got these degrees and these skills and the certificates and blah, blah, blah. None of that means nothing if it's not for the glory of God. And none of it means nothing. Like, without him, I am nothing, right? Like, my flesh is, ugh. Like, those that know me, like, yikes, my flesh is not cute. But with the Spirit, there's so much goodness that I could share about who I am because I know whose I am, right? So it's a big difference. And so I feel like that's what shines through me. That's what I hope shines through me when I get out of the way, right? When I get out of the way and let him take over.
It does.
So that's my prayer.
It shines. And I guess that would be not only your prayer, my prayer, but the goal for all of us. Because like you're saying, like, we focus on the negatives. We focus on what we don't have as opposed to everything that we do have in Christ, right? So when we get out of the way and then God is the one in us, he moves through us, and then I'm able to be more loving. I'm able, right, to be more compassionate and merciful, and I'm more kind because of him, not because of me. It's all because of him. So all this is because of what God has done. So I love it. Even when you shared just, not quitting, just being so determined to not quit. And you can't quit. Like, you can't, because we already have the victory. We're more than conquerors. So we can't. Like, when we have that mindset, when we switch our mind, when our minds are renewed, we realize there's no quitting here. We can't quit because God's the one that's in control, and he's already gone ahead of us. So if he's gone ahead of us, then all we got to do is follow his lead. That's it, right? And so, I always say, like, even the Christian walk is not for the faint of heart, right? Like, we know that, but like, it's so rewarding, so rewarding. And to see where you're at today and how God has blessed you tremendously, right? Like, that's God's favor, upon your life. So I want you to share with our audience, like, what's your life mission now? What would you say is like your why in life?
So my life mission is really to spark radical movement in the lives of others. I want to just spark a radical movement towards life change, towards healthy life change, right? For God's glory. to impact eternity on a greater level. So I want my legacy to be one that Natalie loved with a reckless passion. She loved the Lord. She wanted everybody to walk in the freedom that she experienced, no matter the story, no matter the trauma, no matter the pain, and that she had an eternal focus to drive others towards God. Like I want other people to experience freedom. I just want it so badly that sometimes that can be exhausting, right? Because I'm like, you can do it. Like God's got you. Like He's not going to skip over you for the next. Like we are all His favorite, you know? So it's just being able to just share that. I want it to be contagious. I want to be contagious for the kingdom. So
absolutely. And I believe like the way that you express yourself and your words, and and I've seen you speak before, it is contagious because you get other people excited. You get other people, you give them a taste of Jesus, and then it's enough to say, I want some of that too. I want some of that determination. I want what she has, but not in like in a negative comparison way,
right?
But in a, hey, like I want those benefits, and she's getting these benefits because she's faithful before the Lord. And God is faithful to those that are, faithful, to Him. So it's more about receiving God's benefits, receiving everything that He has, for you. So you just shared your why and your mission. What would you say are some of your superhero powers that you have?
So I would say my vulnerability is a superpower. No topics are off limits for me. I truly am comfortable talking about anything and everything. So I believe that's a superpower. That when people do life with me or engage with me, they know they're going to get the real, and I'm not going to shy away from conversations. I've also had to learn that not everybody is open to that superpower, and that's not a direct reflection of me. I have to honor people where they are in their space, or whether they like me or not, whether I'm too much or not. But yeah, I would say that's my superpower. You know, for sure. Vulnerability and just creating a space of being present.
So would you say that you've always had that superpower?
I feel like I've always been pretty raw. I feel like I've, back in the day it was blunt and rough and sharp tongue and cutting, and God's refined it to be, transparent and comfortable with all topics. I remember my dad asked me one time, he calls me Nats, and he's like, Nats, does it ever bother you that you can relate to so many different people? And basically he was saying, because of all the different things that you've endured in life and all that you have done in life, does it ever bother you? And, and it always leads me right back to, but God's used it all, right? Like He's used it all, so it inspires me. I didn't have to give Him as much to use, but He's used it all.
So this isn't one of the questions that I was going to ask you, but because you've said that, and I'm sure that maybe someone watching, I know that for some of our listeners, sometimes we get stuck. So, you've been able to transform your life, God, right? Transforming your life. You've been able to use your past, where sometimes people get stuck in their past, or shame overwhelms them. Can you speak into that?
Oh, yes. So I'm going to speak directly to you guys. So my motto is, and something I want to live by, is that my past is a point of reference that I've learned from. It's not a predictor of my future that labels me.
Yes.
Okay, so listen, I was ratchet. So I would like to say, I experienced when I was 9, 10 sexual abuse, and then, I had that shame and I felt gross and dirty and this and that. But then I sexualized it, right? So I became hypersexual. And then it was like, okay, so this is part of what I do in relationships. And then it's like, it just snowballed, right? So it wasn't like, I had Lacey and everything was great. I went to the Care Pregnancy Center, which I did, and did parenting classes, Lamaze class, all of that. And I was in school and I was taking care of her and had support from my family. And I would love to say like, that was my aha moment. But it was after the clubs, after drinking, after unhealthy domestic violence, abusive relationship in college, and then dating a narcissist in college, and just going down like a relational trauma path. And then I would love to say like, that was my aha, but I just want to encourage everybody, no matter what you've been through, like you're not stuck. Like we have to be rooted in Christ and his truth versus rooted in the lies of the enemy, because the lies of the enemy, if we're not careful, become truth.
Right.
Right. And so just being able to recognize that shame doesn't get to own you. Right? Shame doesn't have to be a part of your story.
Can you repeat that again, please?
Shame doesn't get to own you. Right?
Yes.
Shame is I am wrong. Conviction is I did something wrong. So I've been convicted in my life because let me tell you, I've done a lot of wrong in my life. But shame says I am wrong. I am something wrong. And no, I'm not wrong. Like I am good and I am made in his image and I know his truths and nobody can use my past against me because it's my past.
That's right.
It's my story. So if there's something in my story that is unsettling for others, I always encourage people, work through that, dive deeper in that, because there's parts of my story that were uncomfortable for me. And you guys are getting snippets today, right. But God has healed that. And it's a testament of where I was and how God has used it to project me forward into who I am, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would encourage.
Hey, that's
everybody
powerful.
with.
That was some powerful stuff. And right now, someone's being healed right now is what's happening.
Yes.
Someone is being healed.
Name,
yes, absolutely. So loved everything that you have, shared today. And just like you said, this is just a little piece of it, right? This is just, bits and pieces of your story. So I want to bring it back to, because I know that we have ladies that are watching, and the question that I get all the time is, how do you do it, right? How do you do it? And so you mentioned, in your bio, I said, you're director, right, of your counseling center. You're a mom, you're a wife, right? Also involved with your husband's sports, business, right? Yeah. So, and, involved in church too. So what's the secret sauce to all of that?
Yeah, so the beauty is that to take the pressure off of everybody, there's no secret sauce. It is trial and error. It is being able to create balance, right? Just like you have beautiful support here with the podcast,
yes.
It's creating beautiful support in your life, right? So yes, those are the roles that I have, but I don't do any of those roles alone, right? So I love being a director. I love having counselors. I love being a supervisor and a mentor, and but I don't do it alone. Like I've had people pour into me. I have people walk alongside me. It's a team. Right? I look at it like this. Jesus had 12 disciples doing life with him. He was Jesus. Like, who are we not to have people doing life with us in prayer and being on guard and watching and walking alongside us in our ministry? And so, same with my husband, Eric. He's got Southward Elite Basketball. I get to partner with him, and I get to do that with him, right? So nobody's self-made. Like we are God designed, God made, and we literally get where we are in life based off of being open to influence, allowing God to use our past to project us into our future. So I would say balancing, everybody has 24 hours in a day.
Right.
Jesus had 24 hours in a day. So time is not the issue. It's what we choose to do with our time that becomes an issue. And so I would say prioritizing, being in prayer and seeing where you have a peace with what are you supposed to do? Not every good thing is a God thing. You don't have to say yes to everything.
Right.
So I feel like having balance, having accountability, it's not all on my shoulders, right? And I've had to learn that just because I say no doesn't mean that God's not going to show up for someone. He can use someone else. Like I don't have to be the one. So just creating that balance and healthy boundaries for sure.
I think that scripture came to mind, that everything may be, I'm paraphrasing here, permissible, but it's not beneficial, for me.
Yes.
And that's one thing I've had to learn over the years, is to be able to say no, and that, it's no, period. Like, that's it. I don't have to give an explanation either. I used to feel so guilty, saying no to someone, and now I don't, and that's been so, freeing. But I love that, just the fact that what you get to do, and you guys are doing it together, right? You and your husband, the kids, and the fact that it's been a journey of community. You were open, because that's a word that you use. You said you were open to receiving counsel and advice and influence from other people. We have to be open to correction as well. That's not easy, right? No. We don't want to be corrected, but it's so necessary, you know, even as adults, we still have to be corrected and redirected at times, some more than others, right? But what's important is that we're on the right path, you know, with this. So we're going to be wrapping up here. This went so fast. So
really fast. I love it.
But wrapping up here, loved everything that you shared, but I guess to let the audience know, like, what's one thing that you would tell yourself as a kid, now as an adult? Maybe what's one thing that you would have wanted someone to tell you as a child?
So I wouldn't have listened to myself, first of all. I would have ignored my wisdom. But I would say just fall in love with God. I mean, truly, like I wish I would have never took my anger and my frustration out on God. Like I wish I wouldn't have pushed him away, because it took me a long time to for him to reel me back in. He was always there, but it took me a long time. I harbored a lot of hurt. And so I would say, you know, to literally, like my grandparents said, keep God first. Keep God first. Continue to be anchored in him, not anchored in the world. Yeah. So that would be the wisdom I would give my younger self, which I wouldn't have listened to, and I would have still done the same.
But you have that wisdom now. You can tell other kids. What about as a teenager?
Oh, man. As a teenager, know your worth, right? Know your worth and like self-acceptance, right? Because instead of fear of rejection, I wish I would have lived in pure self-acceptance. So then I wouldn't have been a people pleaser, right? So knowing who I am and being able to separate that from what I do.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And so lastly, this would be for the audience, you know, that's listening and maybe watching as well. Like, what would you say to them when it comes to that self-acceptance and knowing your worth?
So lose all judgment upon yourself. So a lot of times we as people, and I can speak for myself, fear judgment, right? I think people might be judging or assuming or, you know, whatever it is, but just making sure that that is not a projection of your own stuff, right? So staying open to influence, being able to create support. And if you don't have healthy support, to be able to seek that out, to find it, to tap into resources. You know, I am an advocate for therapy. Obviously, I'm a clinician, and I say behind every great clinician is a great clinician. I will forever do my work. I will forever do therapy, participate, and provide. I love doing my own therapy. I love my healing work, and I just want to encourage everybody to normalize that. Right? Like nobody's perfect. Nobody has it all together. Just being able to be real and honest in our life and in our struggles. So then we're not isolated and struggling even more. So
that was some real talk right there. Natalie, thank you so much because you provided so much wisdom, like so many gems there. Like I'm going to go back and watch this over again. That was so good. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your life story with us, your journey. And that was just part of it. That was just bits and pieces of it. But I hope, my prayer is that for the audience there, that you got a picture as to who Natalie is and why she's doing what she's doing today. The passion that she has for people and for God is so evident in just her demeanor and just her words that she is sharing. And when you mentioned being contagious, yep, I'm praying that everyone is just receiving that right now, even on the replay as well, that you would be motivated, activated to really step up your game when it comes to Jesus in your life, what he can do in you and through you as well. And this is about making waves. We are making waves. And you know what? Just like she said, we're not meant to be isolated. We're not meant to do this alone. And none of us are perfect. Right. We're beautifully broken, but still chosen. And so we're wrapping up, but I want to give an opportunity. I know that we're going a little bit over. If there are any questions, if you have any questions, you got to put that in the chat right now. Put it in the chat. Let us know so that we can answer them real quick. If not, then we're going to keep going. But make sure if you have any questions, any feedback, maybe what's one thing, write it in the comment section. Text it in there. What's one thing that you got out of today? What's one highlight that you got out of today? I want to make sure that you are engaging with us. We're engaging with you as well. We'll go back to look at the comments and what you are putting in there. So my staff here will let me know if there are any questions that we need to answer. And any last closing word. Actually, you know what? Where can they find you?
So our website is www.lifetransformationcounseling.com. Instagram, Life Transformation Counseling, Facebook, Life Transformation Counseling.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, pretty easy. That's where you can find me, any and all information. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I want to challenge you guys as well in the comments. I would love to hear something that you're committing to doing different, even just a small change. So something that you can commit to do differently.
Okay. Awesome. So we do have one question. So I need that question because I'm not, you text it to me. We have one, but that was good. I love that action step, something that they are doing differently this week today. I'm definitely going back to watch this. So good. Some good stuff there. All right. So what's the question? No questions, just comments, just feedback. That's all we're getting. All right. All right. So ladies, thank you so much for tuning in, and maybe gentlemen as well. So thank you until next month. In the meantime, embrace your calling and go and make some waves. Thank you for tuning in to Chosen Voices, Women Making Waves. This show will be available on our YouTube channel, Crossover Chosen. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share. You can also check out @Chosen813 on Facebook and Instagram. And to connect with me, your host, Lucy Kalonen, check out my website, lucyk.me, or my social media platforms @LucyK813. We hope you enjoy the show. Now go make some waves.